Hello everyone, I just wanted to do a video on how I mix my paints for a flip cup. I've had a lot of questions about consistency and not being able to get the right cells and things, so it's not the way, it's just my way. Okay, so first of all, the pouring medium is 4 ounces of water just at the top, 8 ounces of glue. I use Elmer's glue, but when I first started and I was practicing a lot, I used this one. Works perfectly well. It's from Hobbycraft, and golden pouring medium. I used to use GAC. I do use GAC 800, but this was the one I wanted, a big one, and that was the only one I could get at the time. Which is basically the same stuff. It's just to add to your paint to make it more fluid. The paints that I use a lot of Dale Arowney System 3. I use Winsor & Newton Galleria a lot. As I've learned more, when I can afford it, I try to buy better paints. You do get better results with higher price paints, basically, as you'd expect. But we'll just mix our pouring medium first. I do weigh it. I use ounces. So this is what I mix it up in. So I put that on the scales, zero the scales. So we want 4 ounces of water. .406, but that's fine. I add the water first because then when I add the glue it mixes easier. So we want 12 ounces of glue, zero the scales. And the GAC, well, golden colour pouring medium, I add 8 ounces, so we'll zero the scales again. .8 ounces. Like 0.1. That's fine. So that's all it is. And then you get a stirrer. I'll just use a plastic ruler. Give it a good stir. That's ready to mix now with our paints. When I first started, the way I did my paints, because I hadn't got a clue what an ounce of paint weighed looked like. So 0 scales. That is an ounce of paint. Now I used to think, well, half of that, I used to think, oh, that's about an ounce. But if you should measure really until you get it right, because you're not going to know why you haven't got the cells you've got unless you know exactly how much paint you've put in, how much pouring medium, how much water. So that's our ounce. I'll show you another one. Look, I'll show you one because I didn't show you that one. So just get a cup, zero your scales, with 1 ounce of paint, also depends how big your canvas is as well. And when we've mixed them all, we'll do a pour. That's an ounce of that one. In the cup, zero your scales. Done that one. This one's Payne's Grey. Ounce of that one. Okay. And the last one is Windsor Blue. 1 ounce of that. There, 99. Close enough. And now I'm going to use some white. Which is System 3. A lot of it also depends on the consistency of your paint, because these are soft bodied paint basically. The other ones, these ones are more heavy body. Got ones like open, that's a soft body. This one I believe. That one's softish, but it's thicker than that one and these. Personally I prefer soft body because it's so much easier to mix. And then you've got the Winsor & Newton. They're very thick. They take a lot more mixing, but they are very good. I do love Winsor & Newton. Okay. So we've got our ounce of paint. So to that we need to add an ounce of our pouring medium. There we go. Doesn't matter if it's a tiny bit over. I'll add all this first. Okay. 106, that's fine. 0. This one's the magenta. $109, that's fine. And the white. I might need to add some white to that because I didn't zero the scales properly. Let's put that away. There's more Acrylics. Okay, so mixing. Well, if you could see half of that. I'm not great at this making videos. We just mix our white scrape all around the sides and the bottom. Scrape your stick off because you'll have neat paint on your stick. It's squiffy. Okay. You'll be able to see it on the white. That's perfect for me. Just sits on the top for a tiny bit and then sinks. Basically after a second. Okay. Mix the magenta. I do find this part very therapeutic. I mean, really, mixing your paint should take longer than your actual pour. Because if you just throw some paint in a cup, mix it up and think, yeah, that'll do. Throw it on the canvas. It looks great at first, and then you think, well, what the hell's happening to this? All my cells are going all wobbly, and it's all down to consistency. And this one is a lot thicker than the white. It's not even running off the stick, it's hanging onto the stick. So to that, I always use bottled water, I don't know why. It's just easier, I think. And put just a few drops in, like that. Give it a good mix. You'll feel it go all loose in the cup when you first put the water in, because the water's like on the outside of it, so you need to give it a good mix. When it goes back to thick again, or thickish, that's still too thick. Another 3 drops. No. Still too thick. I could have actually, instead of adding water, I could have added a bit more pouring medium. We'll do that with one of the other colours, because you don't want to add too much water, because it will break down the pigments too much, whereas a pouring medium will act like a binder. That's still slightly too thick from there, as you can see it. So I'm going to add a little bit more pouring medium. That's almost there, just a tiny bit more. And when you've used all you want of this, just get an empty bottle and store it in your bottle for next time. That's about right. Trying to get it so you can see it. Could even go a tiny bit more thinner than that. But I'll check them all at the end anyway, which is what you should do. To our Payne's Grey. I always reuse my sticks, as you can tell. There's no need to throw them away, just give them a wash, or even just wipe them off with some kitchen towel. Let them dry on fine. see how thick that is. Yes, I'm going to add more pouring medium rather than water. Again, it just depends on your brand of paint, the colour of paint. Like golds and silvers, I always leave them a bit thicker because they're really thick. And if you add too much water to get the same consistency, they just don't seem to show up, or they just look watery. That's a lot better. Just a little spot of water. That's perfect, that one. But if you'll see black. That's how I like it. It's quite disheartening at first when you keep wasting all this paint and you can't seem to get it. But you will. I was so frustrated. I thought, I'm doing exactly what they say, but you're not really. You're trying to rush because you can't wait to paint. But the biggest part is the preparation. That's perfect now. It's running off the stick, but it's not sinking straight into the paint. That's the Payne's grey. And what was it? Aqua green. I don't know what these colours are going to look like together. Let's give it a bash. There's nothing more disheartening than doing a pour and thinking, oh, I actually like that one, got some nice cells, and then within 10 minutes they've all disappeared and gone wobbly. It's really annoying. I've used some very naughty words when doing this. That one again is way too thick. It is running off the stick, but it's staying on the top for far too long. And if they're not all the same consistency, one's going to run slower than the others. The others are all going to run that way, and this one's going to be playing catch up. So that's going to ruin your painting in itself. Consistency was the hardest thing for me at the start. I've been doing this now for just over 2 years. It's one of the reasons I started a YouTube channel. So I thought, well, there's got to be other people like me. You can see that there. It's still a bit thick. I'm going to add a few drops of water. There we go. Should put my glasses on there, I can't see a thing. Okay, that's that one. Now I might actually now think that all of these are the same, but when I come to check them afterwards, I'll probably find that one of them's too thick or too thin. I might need to add a bit more paint if it's too thin, or another one, a bit of water. You can't really tell till you've done them all. And you get used to the, I think it was Karen from Waterfall Acrylics said that when you're stirring you can feel the pull on the stick, like rowing a boat. you can feel the pull, and when you stir the next one it feels a bit different. If it feels the same, that's right. But if it feels a bit different, just study it for a bit longer to find out the right consistency. I think it was Karen actually that helped me with my consistency. I asked her how important it was, I think, and she said it's just as important as, well, it's probably the most important. Way too thick again. These paints are pretty good quality. You might find with cheaper paints you need, well, you'll definitely need 1-to-1 pouring medium to paint, but I would have thought, unless they're really crap paints like Poundland and them, when you stir them you can tell that the majority of it's just glue. It's very gluey and gloopy. I mean, I did use that, I practiced with that at first. A little bit of water again. About 5 drops on in there. This is the Windsor blue, which is a lovely blue. Next to phthalo blue, it's my favourite. And Prussian blue, I love blue. A bit more water. I mean, I'm no expert in paint, I'm just trying to help. People that ask me questions, you know, like this, why can't I get the cells that you get? And trust me, I never used to get the cells that I get. And to be honest, it's been a good while since I did a flip cup. I've been obsessed with the bloom technique, which I love as well. That's about right, I think. Just hope you can see it. Can't see it in the camera myself. It sits on the top for about a second. If you watch Karen from Multiple Acrylics, she's really good and funny. She's one of these natural, a natural talker, shall we say. Okay. Oh, I think that's it. 1, 2, 3, 4, and white. I actually think I might need a bit more white than this. Add a bit more. Actually, do I? Yeah, I'll do a tiny bit more white. I don't think I had the scales right when I did this one. But whenever you mix your pouring medium, I always weigh it. I mix my paint now. Once I've done the pouring medium, I mix the paint by eye. But I didn't at first, I used to weigh it. Because I used to do it wrong. Because like I said, I couldn't tell what an ounce of paint was. And I'm not really a cook. Ask my kids. That's lovely. That's absolutely perfect, that one. You can see it sits there for just a second. This is what I meant. I can't really show you on video, but this is how I learnt the consistency of getting all the paints the same. I feel that's quite thick, really. And that one's the same. That one feels a bit thicker. So if I look, see if any of them are. That one is slightly thinner than this one. It doesn't have to be exact, but it needs to be roughly the same. Yeah, I think. Which one did I say? confusing myself now. That's okay. So you can feel the drag. You can feel how thick it is. And that one is a lot thicker than these two. Now it felt the same when I was mixing it. If you can see, it's very thick. I'm going to add a drop more for your medium. Don't go mad, you can always add more, you can't take it out. Feel the drag now. If I go straight to this one and this one, see now they feel the same. Let's try the green. It's a tiny bit thicker. Literally a couple of drops. Makes all the difference. Now if I feel, just drag your stick through, not on the, have your stick not on the bottom, but just in the paint and move it around, you can feel it. Yeah, that feels fine now. I'll show you out here. Green looks a bit horrible then actually. Yeah. We'll see. Okay. And now, when you've mixed them, they look okay until you start pouring them, and then you end up with a load of air bubbles. You can use them straight away, but you'll have to burst the air bubbles. It's easier with a flip cup because you can just torch it anyway. But it's best if you can cover them over, leave them at least 2-3 hours, or overnight ideally. So I'll get set up to do a pour, and then we'll come back and we'll do the pour. See you in a bit. Okay, so we're back, ready to do the flip cup. I decided against the Hooker's green because I don't know about you, but it looks a bit rubbish to me. I just don't like green, I don't think. And I've replaced it with silver, which, as I explained, the metallics are always thicker. Not that much thicker, but I don't know, they do like a ribbon. Right, so we've got our canvas with the gallery wrap sides. Normally if this was just a normal edge, if this was just a normal edge, I'd use 3 cups. But because I've got to do the edges as well, I'm going to use 4. I'm just hoping there's enough paint. Right. Oh, the silicone. I use Spot On treadmill silicone. I found this one for me to be the best, but you can get others 100%, as long as it's 100% silicone. Now these cups, can you see them? Yeah. They're only just over half full, so I'm going to add 3 drops. That was 4. So that's 3 drops in each colour except the white. And we'll give them a good mix. Because you don't want just one big blob of silicone, you want it to spread through the paint as much as you can. I'll try and cut through. Of course that creates bubbles again, but it's not so bad with this technique because you use your torch. I thought, where's my torch? Hang on, get my torch. Use the old banger. Oh, one in one is. Where is it? Oh, I don't know. We'll use this one. Anyway. Did I mix that one? Okay. You see them? Okay, start with the white. Don't need much. It's been ages since I did one of these. And the blue. So I don't have enough paint to cover this. I think I have. Soon find out. So all that. Paint's great. Magenta. Okay, start back again at the beginning. White. Sharp enough. That one gone. And blue. Not too much of this one. I don't put that much. Maybe that. glue gun. These plastic cups, you can wash them out. You have to be careful you don't split them, but you can wash them and use them again. Or ideally, and I'll show you. Ideally, buy some of these plastic kids cups, and you can use them again and again and again. That one on. And the rest of the magenta. Fingers crossed that's enough. Okay. One, two, three, four. Let them sit for a sec. Now wish me luck. One. Use whatever's in your cup for your edges, especially if you've got the sides like this. Fill in all your gaps. Because it's all going to get, this is going to get poured off anyway. With a bit of luck. Might as well use the paint. Just help it to flow. I love that one's blue. this won't show, it's just to get the paint to meet a bit easier. Oops, that will. Okay. And most of the way to the paint is up the top. You can see a couple of cells developing, but there's loads of air bubbles. If you use your torch, not too close because you'll just burn the paint. Just pop them bubbles. You'll keep the paint on the canvas as long as you can until all the surface is covered. But you want to keep tipping it left, right, up, down, because you'll just end up with a lot of mud. But you do need to stretch it to open up these cells. I'm just going to come down a bit. A little bit left, a bit right, just to get that to go over. And walking it down the canvas. Bring it back up. Actually, I'm going to stop there because I can see some bubbles. So now you've opened up the paint a bit more, you'll find more air bubbles. See? You can make pretty patterns by quickly going in and out. All you're doing really is just warming, enticing that silicone to come up to the surface. And then come back up. Walk it up again. Tip it over, bring it back. I need to cover some on this side. I need to get the paint's weight to that one corner. It's going over. The corner you can just touch up. Then we're going to get this side. Then we'll come back. Probably lose them nice magenta cells at the top. We need to cover the sides, so there we go. Just let that run down. A little bit of a gap there, but that will run down. Bring it back. Have a look. Just want that to run off a bit down here because it looks a bit of a mess. Which sides are covered. Got a corner here that's a bit dodgy, so get a clean stick. I need to find this colour. I'm scraping it off the canvas and run it down that corner. If you've got loads of paint left on your canvas, you can use that. Which I might do actually, because I don't want that bit there. Here we go. You don't want too much paint left on your canvas, because if there is too much, it'll take too long to dry and it'll just crack. You can tell when the paint slows down. A mess. If you see any more air bubbles or you want any more cells, just pop them. See how much air there is? It's all trapped inside the paint. That's why it's better if you can wait overnight, ideally. Let your paint stand. It's got a bit of an ugly bit, like I don't like this black. I'm trying to see if you can get anything coming up there. Not much. And that's it. I'll let you know if I remember. I'll film it when it's dry and show you the end result. Okay, see you soon.